Storming Ukrainian territory, the Russians often forget that they must be cautious, because Ukrainian kamikaze drones are always hunting them. These Russians were either too careless or simply dismissive of their fate. They were riding into the assault on top of a tank's armor when, out of nowhere, a Ukrainian drone struck them with a precise hit. Frightened, the Russians jumped off the tank's armor and began running toward the nearest tree lines. For Ukrainian drone pilots, a fully immobilized tank is like a gift. Destroying a target that has already been stopped is much easier than taking out a tank moving toward Ukrainian infantry positions. That's why the pilots waste no time and immediately begin attacking the enemy target, while the Russian assault troops scatter and try to hide from the drones. The drone strike turned out to be highly accurate, and after the hit, the tank burst into flames. Now, all that remains for the Ukrainian pilots is to wait until the fire does its job and completely consumes the Russian tank. Very soon, another highly dangerous Russian self-propelled artillery system, the Nona, appeared on the battlefield. At first glance, it looks like an ordinary Russian armored vehicle, but in reality, it poses a huge threat as it carries a large number of infantry and can deliver powerful shots. Here, a Ukrainian pilot met it with a direct frontal strike. One of the crew members managed to jump out while it was still moving, just before the collision with the drone, after which the other crew members also began to abandon the self-propelled gun, which had already caught fire and was soon about to detonate. After that, the pilots attacked a Russian tank that had been blown up by a mine. It was obvious that the crew had most likely already abandoned it, but if the tank were to be towed away, it could be repaired and used again for attacks. That is why the Ukrainian pilots delivered precise strikes on it, destroying the tank completely. After 2 accurate strikes, the pilots only had to wait for the fire to reach the ammunition and tear the tank apart into pieces of metal. In the same tree line, a reconnaissance drone spotted what appeared to be either a Russian tank or an artillery gun, well camouflaged in dense vegetation. The reconnaissance drone guided the kamikaze drone pilot to strike precisely at the enemy target and destroy it completely. The first hit did not deliver the desired result, so it was decided to launch another strike, which successfully destroyed the enemy installation. Another Russian tank was moving through a Ukrainian village destroyed by the Russians, heading toward the battlefield. Ukrainian scouts detected its movement and launched kamikaze drones to strike it. As the Russian tank traveled down the road of death, Ukrainian pilots flew out to intercept it and delivered a strike. After the first hit, the tank crew decided not to continue and abandoned the vehicle, fleeing the scene. In the meantime, Ukrainian pilots took advantage of the situation and delivered enough strikes to make the tank detonate. Now the tank is already burning, with flames beginning to engulf its interior, the very place where the shells are stored. The Ukrainian pilots don't even need to deliver another strike. They only have to wait until the shells heat up and explode. A powerful detonation follows and the tank is completely destroyed. Here, a kamikaze drone pilot is flying in to destroy a Russian tank that has been well camouflaged in a green tree line. The tank crew hopes that their camouflage might save them from a precise hit by the Ukrainian drone, but they are mistaken. The pilot, without much difficulty, finds their hiding spot and strikes the enemy target. This Russian tank ran over an anti-tank mine and detonated. And here are two more Russian armored vehicles that were moving to assault Ukrainian positions but never reached their target. The Russian infantry abandoned their vehicles because Ukrainian pilots did not allow them to get any closer, unleashing a barrage of drone strikes that destroyed Russian armored vehicles one after another. The Russians left their vehicles behind and ran to hide in the tree line. Meanwhile, their armored vehicles remained standing in the open terrain, quickly detected by the pilots, who then began attacking them. This armored vehicle also hit a mine and was blown up. The surviving crew abandoned it, but to be certain, the pilots delivered a decisive strike and destroyed it completely. Soon, a reconnaissance drone spotted a Russian truck driving along the road of death. A Ukrainian drone began pursuing it, and then delivered a precise strike. The Russian truck exploded and was turned into a heap of metal. At this point, the Russian assault came to an end with enormous losses. Russian equipment was mercilessly destroyed, tanks were burning, and Russian infantry were forced to hide in tree lines from Ukrainian kamikaze drones. The Ukrainian military are doing their job of defending their country, while the Russians are trying to seize and destroy it.